I have already created a motion design project with 5.4. So I'm going to open that up. While I am going through this, I am going to be teaching this from the perspective of someone who knows Unreal, who's learning motion design. I know some of you know motion design and are learning Unreal. So if I make any gaffes, mistakes, embarrass myself thoroughly with my lack of understanding or knowledge of the motion design field, please correct me. I want to do it right, not.
And you want to have a blank project?
Yeah, we're going to start a brand new blank project. Yeah, it's virtual production or film blank project.
Yes, I do.
Well, you don't have, if you've already got something there, we'll go with it. Okay, the first thing we need to do to our project is turn on motion design. So I'm going to go up here. It's a plugin. So I'll go to the plugins, type in motion, and turn on motion design. It is still considered experimental in 5.4. There's also a couple others that I haven't played with. I hope to get to them to see if they're going to help us. Motion trajectory and motion warping. They could be fun too. But right now we're just going to start with motion design for today's project. And then it will ask you to restart. Now, while that is restarting, in our course, you should find in the files in the files area, there is, I uploaded this earlier today, there is a motion design demo files. Motion design demo files, you will want to use these for our project. So just download them. They're not a lot. And you will want to unzip. And let's extract that. Motion design demo, yes. And there we go. And just select all of them. Copy. Or actually, I'm going to see if I can do it this the easy way. Go to Unreal. Make this not take up the whole page. Go to my content drawer, and then I'm going to create a new folder to keep things organized, and project 1 assets, for lack of a better name. And then I'm just going to drag them all in. Tell them to import all. There it goes. And now I've got assets. Now, for our first project, we're just going to do a real simple motion design project that introduces some of the concepts of how Unreal does motion design. I have brought over, let me close these, and it's going to give an error, no big deal. In my content drawer now, I've got 2 text things that are black and white. I did ACU and DET, and then I asked my son to make something that was not a Lego, because I would hate to get bumped for, copyright infringement or intellectual property or something like that. So he made something and labeled it not Legos. And it's a simple 2x2 square or cube with 4 little extrusions that are circular. Before we jump in too far, I'm going to want some other colors to work with. I've got white, I've got red. I'm going to duplicate this. And these are static meshes, so I'm going to put the SM extension on it. Static mesh, not Legos. And let's call this one blue. And then I'm going to do the same thing again so that I've got a variety of colors. Let's make this one green. And I do need to give it some new material, so I'm going to duplicate this material. Duplicate. This will be, what do we want to call this one? Maybe blue. And then duplicate again and call this one green. Maybe we'll call material 2 rename that white. And if we were going to do it, whoops, wrong button. If we were going to do it correctly on our rename, we would put M white and M green. So there we go. Now I've got them properly named. Let's go to M blue and actually edit that and set that to blue. All I did was double click on the material to open up the material editor, and then I'm just going to change the default value to blue. What shade of blue? Come on, darker. That's a light blue. It'll work. Am I going too fast? It's okay. Mine weren't ruined.
Oh, that's awesome.
But we can go in, select, I just created the blue. I can go in here to my static mesh and set the texture to blue. And now it's a blue object. And then you can save it and close that and do the same for the others. We're just prepping here. I'm going to go back here to the green one for my material and change that to green. That looks good. Okay. Save, apply, close. And then I'm going to set my static material also to green. Save that. Close it. Okay, so now I've got a few to work with. I've got white, green, blue, red. And that's right, we're ready to start having fun. So I'm going to close this, my content drawer for the moment. We'll come back to that. We're going to go to up here where it's underneath your main tab, where it has selection mode. I'm going to click on that and select Motion Designer. And that opens up Motion Design. Now I'm going to create a new blank level, empty level, right here. Create new, create. It's just empty level, not empty open world. If you somehow lose your motion design window, you can always get to it again under Window, Editor Modes, Motion Design. So easy to get back to it. Yeah, we're going to go with an empty layer because we're going to put our own stuff in. What I did is I clicked on the double arrows here and clicked on Create Scene. That was visible on my computer. So click on Create Scene, and that will open everything up, and it gives you the Create Defaults as well as the sequencer. So click on Create Defaults after you create Scene. This will automatically add lights and post-processing volumes and a camera. So we'll spawn that. And by default, it's going to turn on the camera for the controller. And one interesting thing that it does is it locks the camera on a particular view. You can unlock that if you want to move the camera around, which can be handy. Well, let's try and put something in there. So I'm going to go to 3D shapes and put a cube in. Okay, as soon as I did that, I started getting some controls. That's nice. Oh, I backed up and now I can see things.
So, did you see that access point that you had on?
Yes, I did see the access plane. That is the plane that the camera is pointing to. Yeah, the red lines are your plane that the camera's looking at. But we're not going to worry about that right now.
Looking at. Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, you can. Now you can put anything in here at this point. You can put in a cube. There's a cube, a sphere. All of these are there. They're all typical for a 3D environment. What'd you do to it?
Emma goes to put in the cube and a red axis shows up every time.
Okay, back up. Or did you turn the lock on the camera off? Your Ava Cine camera? Click on the lock. Okay, you may need to make it a little larger.
Yeah, she did. She just did on all of her objects in the scene. She just has the option to hide it. She doesn't have an option.
She doesn't have a lock?
She has no lock padlock on her. That's weird. I don't know why you don't have a padlock. You only have one on it.
I'm betting that it's not showing all of these. Yeah, she just has the editor visibility. I don't want the sphere in the scene, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it, as well as the cube. So, but you can see you can add 2D shapes, you can add 3D shapes, if I click on them opposite to what I just said. And we have these cool things called actors. Now, these are not thespians. I want to add a cloner actor to the scene. Or select it and click on it. And now I have a cloner in there. Now, it looks like this Rubik's Cube type thing. And you'll notice in your motion design over here, you've now got a cloner. It's also in the outliner. I'm going to stay in the motion design. I've got a cloner, and underneath cloner is the default cube. Under cloner, I have control over how many X's there are. There's currently 3, but I could up that number. Let's make it 5. And now on the X-axis, I now have 5. I could also do the same for the Y-axis and the Z-axis. Ooh. You're all impressed, I can tell.
Yeah.
That's true. Let's see what we can make it do. So instead of messing with these default cubes, I'm going to go in and delete the default cube. And it says, hey, this is being referenced. So I'm going to delete that. But I still have my cloner 2 here, which is just a group of 9 dots off here in the distance. I'm going to go to my content drawer, and I'm going to drag my blue Lego onto there, and there it is. I'm going to drop the number of those that I have on that back down to 3. There we go. We have control over their spacing. They're a little off right now. So I'm going to go over here, and by changing the spacing, I can change how far apart they are. I'm going to do 105, or they started at 105. 110. That got them back closer together. 110. And 110. And it will adjust the spacing. And I think the not Legos that I brought in are a little larger than I had planned. So I'm going to drop their scale down. That worked a little bit better. Let's try 0.8. That's looking a little better.
That's so cool. You can make patterns with the different colored Legos.
Oh, you're jumping ahead. So next thing I'm going to do is go over here to the green and also drag that onto cloner 2. And now I'm getting some wild stuff going on here. So I'm going to have to adjust green as well. Drop that down to 0.8.
It doesn't let me drag and drop. I don't know how. It just doesn't. You have drag and drop. Jackson, look at this. Look at this. Look what he did. Bro, look what he did. This looks awesome. You know, it's cool though. It's like, it looks like he has a messed up, it's as if he has like a messed up movie, bro.
Also, when you drag my full navigation to seniors, dragging the
But you should be able to use WASD like you would normally.
I drag him here today.
Yeah, but what tab are you in? The outliner or the motion design? No, what tab? You see his outliner and the motion design.
How do you?
Oh,
Okay.
When you try to like move your camera or whatnot, every time you can yeah, like there's like black over part of it, like a window.
I think that's your graphics card trying to keep up. But I'm going to show you how to fix that in a minute.
Why is it there? Why is it there? Why is your access point on
I don't know. Why is this one a sequence?
Now,
That's what I'm saying.
we can control in the cloner how it is doing the green and blue. Right now, it's not random at all. It's very sequential. If I go down here to cloner with cloner selected, scroll down to renderer, right now it's on iterate. If we change that to random, it will randomly space the cubes. So it will randomly change how they're laid out. Okay, I want to change my count. Prepare to make your fans scream on your laptop. I'm going to go to a 50 count for X, 50 for Y, and 1 for Z, so no depth.
Dude, we could make like the top-down Minecraft pixel.
Now, I might want to adjust the spacing again. There's a lot of spaces in between them, and it looks like my rotation's a little off as well. So I'm going to drop this back to 105. Yeah, I'm dropping the spacing X, Y, and Z to 105. Bring them a little closer together. I mean, it's not horrible, but let's try 101. Well, if I'm on cloner, it does it to all of them.
I think I have one question.
Okay, I found that my Legos had funky angles on them going into it. So I went to the SM Not a Lego blue and changed all of my rotations to 0 and did the same for my Not Legos for green. And now, if I go to cloner, I can get that spacing a little better because right now they're a little far apart. Let's try 99, maybe a little more. Of course, I did shrink them down earlier. That's looking better.
What? What?
That's looking pretty good. Now, if you're starting to have performance issues, your fans have kicked on, your computer's going, nah, we can go back here to our content drawer, select our static meshes. I'll select all 3 of my static meshes, right click on it, and tell it I want it to be a nanite. And that will dramatically improve the performance because it converts all the static meshes into nanite, and the nanite system in Unreal 5.4 can handle huge environments, and it just optimizes all the triangles in the scene.
So pretty much you just want nanites.
You want nanites, yeah. And then it's going to do my shaders, get everything ready to go, give it a second, and we should have a lot better performance.
Do you think you could do that with like other FBXs and stuff that you import?
Yes, you can do this with other FBXs into a scene if they're dragging down the performance, like rocks and things from Megascans. Okay, let's do something more cool to this, right? Because that's why we're here. It's true. It would be difficult to be more cool than this, but wait. So I'm going to drag another cloner actor into my scene. Cloner, drag it in. There it is. Cloner up there. First thing I'm going to do is go up here to my cloner 2 and right click on it and rename it. We're going to call this C for cloner, and I'm going to call it my C, S-E-A. You'll see why in a minute. The one with the cubes in it, cloner 2. And then cloner 3, I'm going to open that up and again delete the cube. And I want to drag onto that some really cool stuff. But before I do that, I'm going to, with cloner select 3 selected, I'm going to go down and select the constant. I want to change the constraint to texture. And we're going to change that to texture. Okay, so let's give it a texture. We're on texture, texture constraints. Now I can select ACU. We should give it something to work with, like an image, maybe the white Lego onto Cloner 3. And right now it doesn't really show us anything. That's because it's trying to do ACU and it's too much. It's too small. So I'm going to go back here, clicking on Cloner 3, and instead of having it as a 3 by 3 by 3, I'm going to change the z-axis to 1. Let's make it 3. Leave it at 3. I need some depth to that one. I want the y-axis as, let's go 25, and same with the x-axis. And what it did, as you can see, it created ACU, but it's facing the wrong way. So we just need to rotate it. So let's change the rotation. On the Cloner 3. It's all perspective. Yeah, I bet it's bad on the monitors there. Now, it is a little kind of, I don't know what the better term. Yeah, it's a little glunky. There we go. That's a little better. Now it's hidden below my C there. And I'm going to up the count, maybe 40 by 40. And you can see it is there. It's below the random. We're starting to get something interesting going on here. Let's get some effects going with this. I'm going to grab the effector over here in my motion design and click inside the environment here. And that adds this new effector. I'm going to reset it so that it's 0, 0. Instead of it being a sphere, I want it to be unbound. We don't want any limits on this. It needs to be unbound. So we're going to unbound it, which means it'll apply to anything we tell it to apply to. Cloner 2, CC. In my CC, Cloner C, I'm going to scroll down to where it has effectors, where I could just search. Effectors. Click on the plus symbol, and we're going to add Effector 2. So it has now been applied to anything that Effector do will only affect the Cloner C. Okay, so it has been associated with that particular object. I'm going to change my view here a little bit so that you can see what happens next, because this is when it starts getting cool. We're going to jump back here to the effector, and I want to change its mode right here below where we set unbound for type. We've got mode. Right now it's set to default. I'm going to change that to noise field. And you can see it gives us some additional settings there. And I'm going to set the X value of pan to a value of 2. And I'm going to set location strength and change the Z to 50. And here's where it starts getting fun. It's moving.
Oh, it is moving.
Now, if you don't have Nanite on, this will kill your laptop. If you can change the strength if you don't want it going up and down quite that much, making you a little seasick. You can change the frequency to how fast the waves are moving. So we can make it 1. Oh, let's not do that. Let's drop it down to maybe 3.3. Now currently I've also got my ACU in there, and I want to move that up a little bit so it's showing at least a little bit. Looks like I need to adjust that a little. Yeah, I want it flat. There we go. Now you could also go ahead and set an additional effector to the letters so that they were going up and down, if you so desired. And the effect would be not necessarily in rhythm with the waves. So we get kind of a cool effect that way. You want to add more effects? Well, we could add lighting. Well, we already do have a light, don't we? I'm not happy. Where's that directional light at? It's not doing much for us. Maybe we need a spotlight or something like that. So I'm going to go over here to my quick add, go to lights, and add a spotlight. I can adjust the lighting. I'm going to up the intensity, up the radius of it. There we go. Now we're getting some more light on the subject. And then once we've got that, we don't really need the directional light. I think it should be showing it to us. Okay, so we want to make this into a movie, right? Definitely. This should be a movie. So we can drag our camera, and now I could shoot a movie. We could also, just like we've done in our previous projects, if I want to bring the Cloner 3 area up higher, I can add that in as an object inside the scene and have them raise up. Do I have my cloner? Yes, I got Cloner 3 in there, and I want to transform it based upon its Z location. And started at 0, I'll jump over here to the end, and we're going to add a new keyframe. So have it come up. So now, as the movie shoots, the letters come up. Nice and dramatic. And all I have to do now is render, which I have not set up on this. Yeah, all we have to do is add the, well, I got to make sure the project settings has the CLI enabled if we're going to do an MP4. Yeah, it's exactly what we did last time. So if I wanted to go to my motion design, let's see, that's in my program files. There we go. Grab the copy as a path, jump back here, paste that in. The codec is libx264 AAC, and output is MP4. So we'll save that in our project settings. Don't need any plugins. Go to our config now. We've already got our JPEG set up, so I just need to add anti-aliasing. Usually we go 5, 5, and override, and then add the CLI command line encoder, and that should be ready to go. So we accept it, AVA sequence, and I'm ready to render. Nope. Oh, I haven't saved. You should always save. Save all. Let's call this level Motion Design 1. Okay, I'm going to re-add my stuff. There it goes. Maybe. It's at least trying to. There we go. Yay. So, yes, I had an untitled sequence in there. And so this was a 60 frames per second project. I had 120 frames, so it's about 2 seconds long when it's done. So it's going to be pretty fast. There we go. So that's our first motion design project. We created waves. We were able to add objects to it. I'm not 100% happy with my not Legos, but we can play. It could be any object. It doesn't have to be those. I just simply use that as an example. So we could go with anything in this, though. It could be cubes, spheres, very small rocks, anything we wanted to use. So if you want to be more creative than this for the assignment that's due Thursday, you are welcome to do so. But this should get you started doing it. My plan is on Thursday, I would like to do a product. So I'm going to take something, put it on a turntable, have it revolve on the turntable, and add some more effects for motion design like we would see in a commercial. That's typically where we see most motion design at work. Usually this type of stuff is done in After Effects or Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, a tool like that. Nuke and Houdini is being used frequently for this. Now we also have a new tool, which is Unreal. I'm still learning how to do motion design, but I'm liking the kind of cool stuff we can do with it. So we're going to play with it some more. If you have any ideas on something that you would like to see us try, I mean specifically those people that have done motion design before and want to try and experiment with something new with the Unreal Engine, give me some ideas. I'll be happy to see if we can't accomplish that.